Hello everyone, I'm Jeff Stanley with Stanley Handcrafted, and this is the second time I'm doing this intro because I can't say my own business name, which is Stanley Handcrafted. Basically what we're gonna talk about in this one is how to set up wholesale shipping, what to tell people, and basically how to judge and kind of take into consideration getting the product out to somebody, kind of how much time to give yourself when somebody requests a shipment of candles from you, and a little bit of how to go into a wholesale order. Now this one again is going to be a pretty quick and simple video. This and I do want to say again, just like the last video, this is just kind of the steps that I go through. It's not a hard set rule. It's whatever I tell you for shipping process or shipping times is going to be altered by absolutely everybody. So this is what I do, and is by no means a hard set rule or something that you have to do. This is just kind of how I handle my wholesale orders and how much lead time I give people when I tell them. So basically with this one, if somebody comes to you, and I get this question a lot, especially in the DIY Facebook group, if somebody comes to you and wants to order, say 100 candles, how long do you tell them? How quick can you get them out? What do you tell them as far as wholesale ordering so that they aren't waiting too long and you get them to the customer in a quick manner? So basically for me, I would take, and again, I'm gonna use the 8-ounce jelly jar because it's the most commonly used one. It's the one I ship out the most. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is you basically wanna know how long it's gonna take you to make 100 candles. Now for me, I use the 12-pound, the Presto pot melters that I sell on the website, and then I have a video that shows how to make them. So I use those. In the past, I would use just the melting pitchers, and it goes a little bit slower with that one. But if you're using like a commercial melter or a Presto melter, you can knock out a lot more candles pretty quickly. So for me, when I get an order of 100 candles, I go through, I see how many scents they want. So if they're doing 6 different scents, 100 different candles, all in the same jar, I go through and I kind of try to calculate how long does it take me to make 100 candles. So if I'm working like around the clock nonstop. So if I'm working pretty quickly, I can knock out 100 candles with the melters in a day, but I'm gonna go ahead and say 2 days just to get both of them poured, so I'm not just like spending the entire day making candles and setting them aside. So I can pour, let's say we're gonna pour the 100 candles in 2 days, a Saturday and a Sunday. Once those candles are done, because of the wax I'm using, the Parasoy, I know they're gonna have sinkholes. So I know there's gonna be another day of going through, basically another day of letting those harden up. So you're basically gonna take how much time it takes you to make the candles, which 2 days to make them. It's gonna take another day, maybe 2 days to correct all the sinkholes, cut the wicks, add the labels. And then of course, if you had all the supplies there, you could probably ship on the 4th or 5th day. And then of course you wanna tack on shipping times, which depending on where it is, if it's within state, it's probably gonna be 1, maybe 2 days. If it's clear across for me, if I'm going from Seattle to Florida, it's probably gonna take 4 or maybe 5 days. And I always take the longer approach to that one. So if I know it's gonna take probably 4 days, maybe 5 days, I always take the 5 and basically push out the time just to give you more time for anything or any setbacks or anything that could happen, any shipping delays. You basically wanna give yourself the cushion so that you're getting the candles to the shop or the person on time. So basically what we're at now is 2 days to make them, 2 days to prep them, 5 days to ship. So basically right now, if you're looking at, if you have everything in stock, you've got your wax, you've got your oils, you're looking at right around like 9 days. So you always want to give yourself a cushion, so you could say 9 or 10 days just to make sure that it's like something happens, or if you get home and there's a night that you can't do them, you have to wait till the next day to do them. It gives you that extra day to basically use as a cushion so that you're still getting the candles to the shop or the person on time. Now, of course, if you don't have some of those supplies, you're gonna have to tack on a waiting time for basically the supplies to come from the shipping company. So a lot of the times I usually don't have some of the scents that some of these shops want. So I usually add on probably another 4 or 5 days. I order a lot of stuff from Candle Science, and they're usually really quick because they're only a couple states away from me. So if I order something, I'm usually gonna get it within 3 days, but I always add on about 4 or 5 days for shipping, because there have been oils that I've had to order from other companies, and it's taken about 4 or 5 days to get those. So if you're looking at the shipping times, which is about 5 days, you're looking at making them, which is around 4 or 5 days, and then you're looking at shipping them, which can be right around 4 or 5 days. You're basically looking right around like 2 weeks, so about 14 or 15 days, depending on what you're doing and what supplies you're getting and when you ship those. So when somebody comes to me with a wholesale order, I usually say it takes about 2 weeks. And I say that usually takes about 2 weeks the moment the invoice is paid. So the day that you pay the invoice, I'm gonna start those unless it comes through at like 10 o'clock at night, and then I'm gonna start them the next day. But usually around 2 weeks. And 2 weeks for me, I've found, is plenty of time. If something happens, it usually gives you a good 3 or 4 days as a cushion to kind of get those candles out and get things done. So if something comes up, which of course something always does. And the reason I would say to give yourself that extra cushion is if you tell somebody that you can get them out in 10 days and you're basically operating at just kind of maximum speed, everything is there, everything is good, nothing is getting in the way, you can probably get those out in like 10 days. But if something does happen and you end up pushing those, you told the customer that you could have it there in 10 days and now it's gonna be 11 or 12. It's usually not a huge deal, but it's definitely one of those things where you told them it would be there in a certain time and it's not showing up in a certain time, and that can definitely be an issue sometimes. So again, that's exactly why I would say give yourself the lead time, give yourself the extra cushion. So if something does happen, and of course that always benefits you. So if you tell a customer that you can have it out in 2 weeks, 14 days, and then you end up getting the candles to them in 10 or 11 days, that's gonna make them even happier. So it just makes for a better overall customer experience. Now, of course, if you have all those supplies, you don't need to worry about shipping times, so you can definitely get those down. And again, I would definitely say I just leave it at the 2 weeks, even if I have everything in stock, because if I can get those done, made, and out within a week instead of 2 weeks, that just looks even better. So again, just to go back through it, if somebody orders a shipment of candles from you, let's call it 100 because it's gonna take a little bit longer to make those. If you're doing something like 12, those are easy. You can do them in a day and you can ship them out in a day, and you can usually get them to the customer within a week. But let's call it 100 candles. So you're looking at 4 or 5 days ordering supplies and getting them in. You're looking at 4 to 5 days to make them, and then you're looking at 4 to 5 days, depending on where they're going, to actually get there to the shop. And of course, every single one of those has an extra day or two as kind of a cushion. The shipping time from the supplier, that's an extra day or two there. All right, the last part of that video cut off. I ran out of space on the camera. It was late at night, so I'm back here. I think it's probably a couple days later to record the rest of this. Gonna jump in and basically finish up what we were talking about, and that's the lead times for the candles. I think I explained it pretty well. I was trying to remember exactly what I said at the end of this. I'm actually in the process of editing this video right now. Ran downstairs to record this, and now you're seeing it. So it's basically 4 or 5 days for making the candles, or actually, excuse me, it's 4 or 5 days for shipping the candles, 4 or 5 days for making the candles, and then another 4 or 5 days for shipping the candles out, which is right around like 14 or 15 days. I usually call it 2 weeks, and I think that's more than enough time to give yourself any kind of room for error that you might kind of stumble across. And that's pretty much it. It's kind of a quick video. There's not really a ton to go into in this one, and like I said at the beginning, this is all personal preference. This is what I like to go into. Obviously, these times can be adjusted based on how many candles you're making. If you're making 12 or if you're making 1,200, it's going to be wildly different. If you're doing 1,200 candles, and this channel is really kind of aimed for the hobbyist, kind of small business getting into it, so we're probably looking at more like 50 to 150. But if you happen to be making like 1,000 plus, obviously you're going to tack on probably a week to make those. If you can do 100 in a day, it's going to take you a little while to get to 1,000, so you're going to bump that up quite a bit. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, or if I missed something, or you want to add something to it, please let me know in the comments down below. I try to go through to answer every single one of those, and we will definitely be talking more about this particular situation on the DIY Facebook group. So jump over there, sign up if you're not a member already, and kind of just jump right into the conversation. And of course, you can follow me on any of the social media platforms I've listed down below in the comments section or the video description section. Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, my website, the email, the DIY Facebook group, everything is linked down below. So reach out, say hi, join the group. And of course, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and thank you for watching.